Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, Who's Ready for Some Fighting Words. In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown / prediction for Jermell Charlo and Tszyu. Really quick, if you've been loving the content, the videos, if you like the channel, I would ask you please to subscribe to the channel. Also, while you're at it, while you're looking at this video, if you could please take this time to hit that thumbs up button. It's really appreciated. Let's jump into this video. I'm going to start right into resume. I think it's very obvious that it's Jermell Charlo. He has Tony Harrison, he has Castaño, he has Austin Trout, Erickson Lubin, and Erickson Lubin is still a star in the rise. Austin Trout is like a legend. He's been out, he's fought pretty much the who's who, Cotto, Canelo, he's fought everybody. And then you have Tony Harrison, the guy who actually took the belt from Charlo. So he must have been a certain caliber of fighter and then lost in a rematch. And Castaño was a champion as well. So, all these guys are like former champs. So when we look at resume, we got to go with Jermell Charlo. Pedigree. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Well, Tszyu is the son of Kostya Tszyu, and that's true. However, he is the son of Kostya Tszyu, but he's not Kostya Tszyu as of yet. He's not his dad. I'm sorry. This is way too early in the stages of his career to be comparing him to his dad. His dad fought, he fought a few guys, he fought a few guys. He fought a lot of the same guys that Floyd Mayweather fought. As a matter of fact, he was on a collision course with Floyd Mayweather. It never really came to be, but nonetheless, he was on that course. He fought Zab Judah, he won. So I'm sorry. The son, I can't put him in the dad's bracket as of yet. But when I look at pedigree, well, Jermell Charlo is a twin, and he's been with his brother his whole career, meaning in the same camps, in the same gym. And when I look at pedigree, I'm not just talking about, a blood tie, but if you want to, they are twins. And his brother is a champion, has been a champion for quite some time, but also in his gym, you have Earl Spence. So he's been around champions. His trainer trains champions. So therefore, I'm going to give pedigree to Jermell Charlo. Power. I think listen, Tszyu does have a lot of knockouts, okay? Not knocking him. He's got a lot of knockouts. But the reality is 90%, 95%, probably 98% of his knockouts come from Australia. And I'm not saying that Australian boxers aren't that tough, but they're not. He has not fought the upper echelon of fighters. He has not fought the guys in the top 5, the top 10. So I'm sorry, I can't put him down for being some amazing knockout guy if you're knocking out number 15, if you're knocking out number 17. But for Jermell Charlo, he's getting guys out of there, and these are top guys. So therefore, I got to go with Jermell Charlo. Speed, I think it's obvious. Again, Jermell Charlo. Tszyu has more timing than speed, if anything. But I don't think he's a remotely fast guy. And I think his past opponents have been picked very well. None of them have been speedy guys. They're just not speedy guys. I'm sorry. They're just not speedy guys. They don't have a high output or a lot of cardio or anything like that. They're not moving at an accelerated rate. They're not trying to get this thing over and finished with as soon as possible. You look at a Jermell Charlo, everything he does is with speed, is with power, is with 100% attention and aggression. And I think he has more speed than Tszyu. Footwork. Tszyu doesn't have any footwork. He's a power puncher. He just kind of casually walks people down. I'm sorry, he doesn't have any footwork. And I look at Jermell Charlo, he does have footwork. He can fight on both sides. He can fight with both hands. He can switch stances. He can do all that stuff. So therefore, I got to give it to Jermell Charlo. Ring IQ. I got to give it to Jermell Charlo. Why? Because of the opposition that he's faced. Two fights in particular. The Tony Harrison fight, the second one, and the Castaño fight, the second one, Ring IQ. He adapted and he changed to the style of his competitors. He realized neither one of them were going to stand in the center of the ring and bang with him or anything like that. So he had to be slick. With Tony Harrison, he had to pace himself. He had to Yeah, he really had to pace himself in that fight. But Castaño, he realized, I'm not going to win this fight in the center of the ring because I'm going to keep getting pushed back. And that's when he used his ring IQ, and he also adapted in that situation. And he won that fight by slipping punches and basically winning off those ropes. That's what he did. The shots that you don't see are the ones that hurt you the most. And the reality is, Castaño got hurt from things he didn't see because he thought he had Charlo in the place that he wanted him. That would be the most effective against Charlo. And Charlo used that against him and switched everything around. And that's where he was still fighting offensively while being defensive in his fighting. So I got to give ring IQ to Jermell Charlo. Heart. Now, at first I was going to say it was a tie, but Tim Tszyu has been down before. However, he's been down. He got dropped, and that's mainly because of the way he fights. He has a very he has a very straight up and down stance. His legs aren't very spread apart, and his hands aren't necessarily in close or anything like that. It's just an easy access to punch him in the face. And he got dropped. He got dropped early in the fight once he made his splash over to America. But he got back up. He regrouped. He got back up. It was a good punch. I'm not knocking the punch, but more so what I'm knocking is the fact that that punch could have been avoided on Tim Tszyu had he had better defense. That's what I'm saying. Then I look at Charlo, who lost to Tony Harrison in their first fight. And then, even though that was arguably a win for Charlo, but we're not going to go there. He lost the first fight, came back, and won the second fight by knockout. The first fight was in the judges' hands, and he lost while the fight was in the judges' hands. The second fight, the judges were not needed. So when I look at heart, I'm looking at Jermell Charlo. Something was taken from him. He felt it was wrongly taken from him. He came back in a rematch, and he said, you 3 judges can go home tonight. You will not be needed. That takes heart. That takes heart. You know, you had Tony Harrison believing that he won easily and saying this verbally. And, you know, when you're a champ, you know, it can get to you. And he said it was a rough year because he lost, number one, had his first loss. And then number two, Tony Harrison had his injuries, so they couldn't get the rematch when they wanted it to. So he said it was a tough year for him, but he learned a lot about himself. And that's what I'm talking about when I say heart. He learned a lot about himself, and he regrouped, he adapted, he came back, and he finished the fights, and the judges were not needed. Heart, Jermell Hitman Charlo. Defense, slipping in the Castaño fight, the second fight, beautifully. I mean, I've always been a fan of Jermell Charlo, just the way he fights and his aggression. But in that second Castaño fight, you can see the growth from the first fight to the second fight. Normally, he's a very offensively minded fighter. And in the Castaño fight, he had to be defensive minded. And that shows his growth. That shows maturity. That shows skill. That shows adaptability. I mean, but the slipping, Castaño truly thought he had Jermell in a hot spot, not realizing he was getting tagged up and down as well, just because he was getting off. But when you go back and look at that fight, you'll see a lot of that stuff. Jermell blocked, he slipped, he dodged, he countered it, and he was throwing back. He was throwing heat from the pocket. So defense, I got to give it to Jermell Charlo because Tim Tszyu doesn't have a whole lot of defense. And I'm basing this off the opposition that he's faced, mainly in Australia. When I look at his fights, I don't see like where he had to go through the fire. As a matter of fact, it was in his post-fight interview when he first came to America, and he said, I'm happy that I had, for the first time in my career, I've had some opposition. I've had something to overcome. That's telling you he hasn't faced anybody. That's telling you he's never been in a hot seat. He's never been in a fire. He's telling you, he's admitting this. He's admitting this by his own admission. So therefore, I still have to give it to Jermell Charlo. Cardio, hands down, Jermell Hitman Charlo. That dude's going to throw 100 punches. I don't know what is going on in Texas, but these guys can throw 100 punches in a round and power punches, 100 power punches in a round. I mean, Jermell Charlo has a pace that maybe only Earl Spence can match. Like, he's got a sickening pace. and he's throwing bombs. He's not peppering anybody. He's throwing bombs. He's trying to get you out of there from round 1 to whenever he eventually gets you out of there. He's trying to get you out of there at all times. Cardio goes to Jermell Charlo. Durability. Now, again, Tim Tszyu has been down, but that could have easily been never happened had he had just better defense, quite frankly. All right? It was just a straight down the pipe. And he got clipped and went down. But when your arms are out like this, like Tim Tszyu is, it's not exactly the hardest thing in the world to beeline and go, knock a guy out. Like, really, a straight punch. But durability, Jermell's been in there with some hard hitters. Hard hitters. Listen, Tony Harrison can crack. Castano can crack. Erickson Lubin can crack. These guys can crack. Austin Trout is no walk in the park. These guys can crack. And Jermell has been cracked. He's been cracked several times, actually. And that's mainly because of the way he fights. He's very up in your face. He's not hard to find, and he's constantly moving forward. So he can be cracked. The thing with Jermell Charlo is he doesn't get cracked consecutively. You might get cracked, but it's not like you're going to get off like a 3-4 punch combination on him. But you can crack him. And he's still there, round after round, giving you heat, bringing you heat. Jermell Charlo. Let's see. Body work. I got to go with Tim Tszyu in this. He is great hooks to the body. Shovel hooks that render dudes like paralyzed. Great uppercuts, amazing uppercuts. Tim Tszyu actually has like an amazing uppercut. Like, it's just sweet. It's perfect. It's straight up, and it's sharp. It's heavy. It's not like a sloppy uppercut where you're just like, but he has this thing where he can stand up straight, so you never even see it coming, and it goes straight up. As for most guys, you throw an uppercut, you want to twerk with it, you want to, leverage your body so you can get the most out of that punch, and then bring it up. But Tim Tszyu can literally stand right straight in front of you and bring the uppercut up. And it's a beautiful punch to watch when he throws it. So I give that to Tim Tszyu. The jab, come on, Jermell Charlo. I've been saying for a very long time that the Charlos have the best jab in the game. I think the Charlos and Triple G have the best jabs in the game. Their jabs are like right hands. They throw heavy, they hit hard, and they're stiff jabs. They're not weak jabs. They're not like peppering jabs. They're not finder jabs. They are destroy you, knock your head off jabs. And they're consistent. That's another thing about a jab. If you want a jab to be effective, it needs to be consistent. And Jermell Charlo has a very, very consistent jab. Overall arsenal, I would have to give it to Jermell Charlo. Again, everything is based on the second Castano fight. I was just so overly impressed with Jermell's just know-how, the punches, the selection that he used. Normally he likes to throw long, straight punches, but because of the fight that he was fighting with Castano, just showed me that the man can adapt. The man has skill that I wasn't necessarily always crediting him with, and he's got more punches than you think. He's got more angles to throw punches than you think. And that footwork, he knew how to, the second time around, it's no secret Jermell doesn't do very well off the ropes, but that second time around, he knew how to get out of there. So overall arsenal, I got to go with Jermell Charlo. Now, this second segment is what should he do? So basically, what should the guy do to defeat the other one? So what should he do? Get Charlo on the ropes. Charlo's not very comfortable on the ropes. Get him on the ropes. Make him uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable on the ropes, and he's more susceptible to shots on the ropes, mainly because he has nowhere to go. Plus, because he throws punches from long distance, and he needs leverage on those things to get the maximum amount of power on those punches. What should Charlo do? Create a crazy pace and punch output. I guarantee you Tim Tszyu is not going to be able to keep up. Tim Tszyu does not throw a lot of punches. Tim Tszyu throws one punch at a time. And because they're power punches, he can kind of get away with that with lesser opposition. But with top-tier opposition, the creme de la creme, the unified champion of the world, he's not going to be able to get away with that. He's not going to be able to get away with that. Tim Tszyu likes to throw one punch, and he waits for a second. Like most guys, 1, 2, or whatever. Tim will throw 1 and then 2. There's always that pause in between with the second or the third shot. Even when he has a guy hurt, there's always a pause. There's always a pause. He's a very controlled fighter. I give him a lot of respect for that. Very controlled fighter. But sometimes you just got to let your hands go. And you're going to have to let your hands go with Jermell because the pace is going to be high. The punch output is going to be high. You know, Jermell's going to make you work. He's going to make your hands work. He's going to make your legs work. He's going to make your mind work because you got to think what's coming next. You better be up on your defense, and you better keep some kind of high guard or something like that. Jermell does like to throw those long punches, straight punches, power punches. What should Tim do? Go to the body. Get physical. Wrestle Jermell. Jermell sucks in the clinch. Love Jermell. Love you, Jermell. But you suck in the clinch. If you take him to the clinch, if you guys clinch up and you just work from that pocket and you do a little clinch work with your punches, trust me, it will be very, very, very difficult for Jermell to do much against you other than retreat and reset, in which case you would have to close that distance again and do it all over again. But wrestle, close the distance, and be offensive through the clinch for Tim Tszyu. What should Jermell do? Keep the space between himself and Tim Tszyu. Tim, in a perfect world, would close the space and he would go to the body. Again, those uppercuts, those hooks. Jermell, in a perfect world, would keep the space. I think Jermell has all the tools to keep the space. I think Jermell is more versatile. I think Jermell is more experienced. And I think Jermell has a much better jab. And I think his jab hits hard enough where he can control Tim from a distance. Keep the space, keep the distance, and keep it safe because Tim Tszyu can crack. And Tim Tszyu just might have enough firepower to put you down. I'm not saying he could keep Jermell down, but I definitely think if hit in the right place at the right time, Tim Tszyu could possibly put Jermell down. Overall, I have Jermell Charlo winning by knockout. I don't think Tim Tszyu has the legs to keep away from Charlo. I don't think Tim Tszyu can keep up with the pace and the punch output of Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo also hits hard. I just think Jermell Charlo has way more experience. Looking at this fight camp for Tim Tszyu, Jermell Charlo has been working with his brother, who's much bigger. And I think you have to understand they're twins. So just having that camaraderie of your twin being, even if you're not sparring him and or anything like that, just having him in the gym physically does something psychologically for you. And it's a benefit to Jermell Charlo. It would hurt Jermell Charlo if his brother and him weren't on speaking terms like they have been in the past. And I think it has affected him in fights, just when he didn't have his brother close by. But he's had his brother in the training camp. He has Errol Spence as a sparring partner. I mean, so I just don't see Tim Tszyu doing anything more than what Errol Spence can do to Jermell Charlo. And quite frankly, I don't think Tim Tszyu could do that to Errol Spence. I find it highly unlikely that he could do anything severely damaging to Jermell the Hitman Charlo. And with that being said, that is my fight breakdown / prediction. I have Jermell the Hitman Charlo by TKO. Probably 8 or 9. I don't see this fight going the distance. The latest I say 10, but I see like 8 or 9. That's my prediction. Those are my thoughts. This was my breakdown. Please like, please share, please subscribe to the channel.